Folks, so let's say in Street Fighter you want to do a fireball into a fireball super. So a fireball is quarter circle forward punch. The super is double quarter circle forward punch. So how many quarter circle forwards do we have to do this? We have to do 3? 1 for the fireball, 2 for the super? You might think that might be your first impression, but this is pretty hard to do. This is really hard to do fast enough. So it turns out you can actually cheat and use the first quarter circle forward for the fireball as the first half of the super. So you only have to do 2 quarter circle forward punches and you'll get fireball into super. Not only that, you can even do this with a dragon punch. The dragon punch is close enough to a fireball that it will count for the first half of the super. And I know for a lot of you out there, this is just common knowledge. This is stuff that everybody knows, right? If you've played fighting games, but it turns out that's not necessarily true. There are so many little pieces of knowledge in fighting games that you kind of just have to acquire over the years that not everyone is gonna know every little thing. Even some well-known and beloved YouTubers that I'm a huge fan of might not know about these little tidbits. So today I wanted to go through and explain some of the mechanics in fighting games that even people who have been playing for a long time might not know about. So let's jump in and start talking about it. All right, so first up, I want to talk about one of the most misunderstood and definitely most misused terms in fighting games, which is tripguard. So you see what happened there? Chun-Li jumped in and she got hit by my low sweep when she lands, even though you can see on her inputs that she is holding down back, so she should be blocking low. So some people might see this and they'll go, oh, nice trip guard anti-air, which is not really how the term is used. What trip guard means is that essentially you are allowed to block when landing, especially lows. Are you allowed to block lows when landing from a jump? Basically, are you allowed to trip guard, meaning you can block a tripping attack when you land? It's an old school term. Shout outs to James Chen. And that's what that means. So in the vast majority of modern Street Fighter games, you can trip guard if you don't press a button. So she did no air move. She is totally free to block whatever lows she wants when she lands. However, if she does a jumping attack, she will not be able to block the low. She is going to be in basically a recovery state when she lands, and she is going to be allowed to get hit by a low when she lands. However, this was not always the case. You can see here in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and in every version of Street Fighter 2, in fact, there is no trip guard, meaning she can jump and start holding down back, but she is literally not allowed to block low until a few frames after landing. So you see, if I time it just right, she cannot block the low and she will get hit. And this even applies to fireballs. So Sagat has a low hitting fireball. You can see it cannot be blocked high. So if he throws this and she lands on it out of a jump, you can see she will not be able to block it because there is no trip guard in Street Fighter 2, even if you don't press a button. So this was a pretty ridiculous mechanic and made low hitting moves really ridiculous. So now in most fighting games, the way it's going to work is you can trip guard as long as you don't press a button during your jump. So yeah, a lot of people use this one wrong, even the pros. So now you should hopefully understand the idea of trip guard. Speaking of misused terms, you guys want to talk about charge partitioning? I hear people use charge partitioning incorrectly pretty much constantly. It seems like a lot of people don't know what it is. So you might know with a charge character, to do a charge move, you hold the direction for about 1 to 2 seconds, and then you press a different direction plus a button. So with Urien, you hold back for a little bit, and then you press forward plus kick, or you hold down for a little bit, and then you press up plus punch. But charge partitioning in Third Strike allows you to split up that charge into multiple chunks. So instead of holding down for about 1 second, I'm gonna hold down for about half a second, let go, and then hold down for another half second, and then be able to do my headbutt. So you can see it looks like that. You can see I'm splitting the charge up into multiple chunks. And this works with back charge as well. You can see I can hold back for about half a second, let go, and then hold back for another half second, and I will still get my tackle. And this allows you to do some really crazy stuff. Like this is how you can do dash up headbutt like that. Normally you're not allowed to do dash up headbutt, but utilizing charge partitioning, you can, just like that. And like I said, you can even split it up into more chunks than just 2. You can do like 3 short charges, and still get a headbutt. So you can split it up into many small chunks, but the timing is going to get really precise. It can be quite hard to do. So that's what charge partitioning is. Now let's talk about what charge partitioning isn't. You might hear people talking about having to charge partition with Guile in Street Fighter 6, but it's not a thing. There is no charge partitioning in Street Fighter 6. So usually what people are talking about is actually charge buffering. So here's one idea of a charge buffer, is that you can press forward and then back plus punch and still get a sonic boom. So you can see I pressed back plus punch here, but I still got a sonic boom because the game is going to buffer your inputs for a few frames to make executing special moves easier. So because you can do back plus punch like this, you're gonna have a little bit of extra time to throw sonic booms faster because you can start charging a little bit quicker when you're holding back. So that is a form of charge buffering that allows you to do some faster sonic booms for combos and stuff. And then the other type of charge buffering that you can do is a standing move into a flash kick. So this seems like it should be impossible, right? A flash kick is hold down, up plus kick, but you can actually do a standing move in between because there's just a little bit of room where you're allowed to keep the joystick at neutral in between the down and the up. The game will remember the input and still let you do this. So this enables some really cool combos. Guile has this legendary trial combo that it took me like an hour to do the first time, where we have to do down light punch, neutral light kick. We cannot hold back and press light kick or else we get this knee. So we have to do down light punch, neutral light kick into sonic boom, and this is just insanely hard. I don't even know if I can do this right now. Let's see. There, we actually got it. Okay, so yeah, that is a really, really hard charge buffer to do, but it makes some combos possible that wouldn't otherwise be possible. But that's charge buffering. It is not charge partitioning. You cannot split up flash kick into multiple charges in this game. You cannot, do multiple walkbacks and then throw a sonic boom. Doesn't work at all. But of course, here with Remy in Third Strike, we can split our charges up. You can see we can do a little charge partition sonic boom. We can do a little charge partition flash kick. So yeah, it works in this game. Doesn't work in most other games. And in fact, this is the only Street Fighter game where charge partitioning works. All right, next up, this is another super misused term, especially from the old days. People would talk about how a move has priority. This is a very high priority move. So essentially what people would mean when they say priority is, you can see if Ken is doing his light punch and I'm doing my medium punch, my medium punch is going to tend to win. It just kind of works out that way, that my medium punch is usually going to hit him out of his light punch a lot more often than his light punch is going to hit me out of my medium punch. So people would go, well, medium punch is a higher priority move. Medium punch has priority over light punch, so it's going to beat it. And the most famous one was probably Dragon Punch, right? People would say Dragon Punch is like the most high priority move in existence because it just beats everything. No move really can interrupt Dragon Punch, so it must have ultra high priority to just go through everything, right? But now, fortunately, we know a little bit better how games work, and we can see that these interactions are the results of hitboxes, right? So you can see Ryu, his standing medium punch hitbox really extends far out from his body, and his places on his body where he can get hit, which are represented by the blue hitboxes, they're really far back there and protected, whereas Ken's light punch, the hitbox is a lot smaller, so Ken is gonna be a lot easier to get hit by this medium punch here. You can see the medium punch is gonna reach a lot farther and is going to basically stuff out Ken trying to do this light punch. So that's the idea with hitbox interactions like that. And of course, Dragon Punch, it's gonna be hard to see with the game moving at full speed here, but Dragon Punch has no blue hitboxes on it at the beginning. So you can't actually hit Ryu out of Dragon Punch because it's invincible. He has no vulnerable hitboxes, or hurt boxes as people like to call them, just one gigantic red one. So you can see why this move feels like it has such high priority, because it's just this massive red hitbox with no blue hurt boxes behind it that can get interrupted. So it feels like a very high priority move. But that's just a result of the way the hitboxes are done. So once people started learning about this whole hitbox thing, a lot of people would start to say, well, priority doesn't exist. Priority isn't real. It's just this made up concept to explain what's happening behind the scenes with the hitboxes. But it turns out in some games, priority is a real thing that does exist. It's just a little more subtle than you might think. So, for example, in Street Fighter V, you can see that if two light attacks come into contact with each other, they'll trade, right? We both get hit. That's called a trade. But it is literally impossible for a medium attack and a light attack to trade in this game. The medium attack will win 100% of the time if they are out on top of each other. And that's because there is a priority system in Street Fighter V where heavier attacks will always stuff out light attacks. You can see he can hit me in the recovery of my medium punch. You can see there he hit the recovery. But if the two attacks actually come together, the heavier attack will always win. And here you can see as well, he's doing standing medium punch, but my standing heavy punch will always destroy his standing medium punch because heavy attacks have priority over medium attacks. So yeah, there is a priority system in Street Fighter V that is really important and greatly affects how the game is played. So this system has been removed from Street Fighter VI. Some would probably say for the best. You can see you can trade a light attack with a medium attack, something that would have been completely impossible in Street Fighter V. And we even traded a heavy attack with a light attack right there. So yeah, the large majority of priority rules are now gone in 6, but there is one that still remains. And that rule is that strikes will always be throws. Strikes have priority over throws in Street Fighter 6. So the way I'm setting this situation up is we're +0 after this move. We're +0, so both me and Ken are pressing a button on the exact same frame. So I'm doing throw, which has 5 frames of startup. Ken is doing light kick, which has 5 frames of startup. So the attack and the throw are hitting on the exact same frame. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying here. And despite that, there's no trade or anything. Ryu just loses clean. And the reason for that is because strikes will always beat throws in this game if they hit on the same frame. So as far as I know, that is the only instance of true priority in the game of Street Fighter 6 is that strikes and throws, if they hit on the same frame, the strike just automatically wins. So don't let anyone tell you priority doesn't exist. It does exist. It is just a lot more minor than you might think. You know, stuff like dragon punches going through attacks. That's not because they have priority, it's because they have invincibility. Or, you know, stuff like frame traps. You can see I won there. I beat out his light attack with my light attack. It's not because my punch has priority over his kick. It's because I have frame advantage. I'm allowed to act first, so I win in that situation. And again, just to show it, you can see here, if I go for a slower attack, like a medium attack, it takes a little bit longer to come out, and so we actually trade. So you can see, once again, no priority that forces my medium attack to win like there is in SF5. But again, in situations like this with throw, the attack is going to have priority over the throw. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. I think that's going to about do it for the video. Hopefully you found all this interesting, and let me know if any of this was new to you. I'm curious, was there any of this that you had never heard of before, or that came as a shock to you? I would love to hear about it, because it's always fun to inform people about the kind of stuff that some of us take for granted. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.